Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have the dog down here if there's any rumpus going on. I'm out and about today and I thought I'd share with you about why I'm restarting my prepper pantry or emergency cupboard, snow cupboard, whatever you want to call it. I always used to have a little cupboard with a few extras in, extra toilet roll, extra tins, a few extra first aid things. That type of thing. I had it for years. We live really high up. We live really rurally. So a few times we've been snowed in. We've been snowed in up here, and down in the village there's not even been a flake. There's been nothing down there at all. And we've had snow drifts up to my waist up here, and we can't get out. We can't get a car off the yard. We can't get anywhere because it's all single track lanes and we don't get snow plows and stuff up here. When the beast from the east hit, we actually had snow as high as the 5-bar gates there, and it actually nearly reached the roof of the polytunnel. It was crazy. Also, when COVID came and you couldn't get out and about, like you used to be able to and stuff, I did have a few emergency supplies in the cupboard, so that helped, especially as a lot of my children got displaced and they all had to come home and had extra mouths to feed and things, and it helped with the budget and it helped with the availability because I had a few things in the cupboard. And yeah, so I did that, and then I don't know quite what happened. It was a mixture of things. I think we had sort of a lean spell where I'd used a lot of things up in the cupboard and I couldn't afford to replace them. And also the children sort of left home, so there's only me and my husband, and I was sort of thinking, oh well, do I need such a big stockpile? And various things, and a few people sort of made fun of me a little bit, going, oh, why do you need a snow cupboard? And so my cupboard's gone. I had nothing in reserve. And then recently the co-op got hacked. Our local shop is a co-op. If you need anything in emergencies, we don't do major shopping there because it is a bit pricey, but it is our localist shop, and it was wiped out. There was just nothing in there. You couldn't even get a loaf of bread. It was just empty. And then when you went slightly further afield to our next shop, which was at a small Morrison's, that was quite empty because all the people that had been shopping in the co-op were then shopping there because they couldn't get stuff in the co-op. And it was crazy. It was just like, oh, you couldn't get stuff. And we're quite fussy eaters in our house. We only eat certain things, so we couldn't get some of the things we wanted to eat and stuff like that. And then there was, we had issues with the cars, and we didn't always have a vehicle, and so we couldn't get off shopping. And there was just this whole thing, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to start my sort of emergency cupboard again. And on top of that, aside, this one might be slightly controversial, but we do have an old wives' tale round here in the countryside that if the trees are absolutely laden with fruit, you're in for a bad winter. Now, we haven't had a majorly bad winter for a few years, so law of averages, we might be due for one. And also, we have got so much fruit this year on the trees. Last year they were bare. This year we've got such an abundance that a lot of the locals are all saying, oh, I think we might be in for a bad winter. I'm going to get some extra things in the cupboard just in case. And a lot of people in the area are preparing for a bad winter. So I thought, right, I've got to rejuggle my budget, because obviously you can't just buy extra stuff with leaves from trees. You have to have the money. So I'm juggling my budget. I'm getting a little bit at a time, and I'm slowly stockpiling just a few emergency things in case we can't get out because of snow, because of vehicles, because of flooding. That was another issue we had. That some of the back lanes flood and we couldn't get out, all this type of thing. So I'm going to be prepared. I was in the Girl Guides when I was younger, not a scout, I was a Girl Guide, but it's still the same sort of mottos in being prepared and being ready for emergencies. So yeah, we're going to start sorting things out. There are loads of blackberries this year, loads of them, and they're looking really good. there is going to be a lot of blackberry crumbles, I think, being made this year from various people. I like to make bramble jelly. The only thing is, it is only just August. It's the first week of August, and the blackberries are already out and about, and the apples aren't ready. And I make sort of bramble jelly, which is apple and blackberry jelly. You need the apples for the pectin to help it to set, but the apples are still very small and they're not ready yet. So sometimes I do have to use apples that aren't ready, and I just have to add a bit extra sugar, or else it is really bitter. But yeah, I'm hoping that there will still be quite a lot of blackberries about when the apples are ready, so I can make some bramble jelly ready for rice puddings and things through the winter. But loads and loads of blackberries this year. This is actually another site we haven't seen for a few years, and these are slowberries. You have to be really careful when you pick these, because the thorns, they've got really sharp thorns, some of these, and they can be quite nasty. But we haven't had sloes on the hedgerows for a good few years now. My neighbour is very excited because he makes sloe gin, where you put these berries in with gin and sugar, and you make this like liqueur, gin liqueur. It's very popular, sloe gin. Not a fan myself, but he hasn't been able to make it for a good few years because we just haven't had sloes on the hedges. I don't know why, but there is quite an abundance this year. So he's going to stock up, he said, and make quite a bit. So he's going to be very happy with that. He's just waiting. They're still not quite ready. They've only just turned, so he's leaving it a little bit longer. But he's going to keep an eye to make sure the birds and whatever don't eat them before he gets to pick them. But he's going to come out and pick loads of the slowberries and make his fruit liqueurs this year. I don't know if you can see in the light, this is one of my eating apple trees. It is laden with apples. They are just full. The branches, there's another one here. Absolutely laden with apples. Now, it's a shame with this tree. The apples never really get very sweet. Not to just eat them from the tree or whatever. They don't seem to get very sweet, but they don't store very well either. We thought, because some apples they sweeten as they store, but we've tried in the past. My husband said the apple trees were here. He was born in this house over 60 years ago, and the apple trees were here. The dog is running around if you hear lots of panting. And he said they never stored and they were never sweet. But what we did a few years ago when we had a lot of apples is there was a farm reasonably locally that has started pressing and bottling the apples for apple juice. And they pasteurize them so it keeps for up to a year. So we tried that and it worked really well. So we had apple juice and we gave it as Christmas presents, and we had it to drink. We had it with sparkling water. It was great. So I think we're going to do that again to sort of preserve the apples because there are so many. So this is the eating apple tree. And this is the cooking apples. Absolutely masses and masses of them. There is going to be an awful lot of stewed apple going on this year. There are loads. Absolutely loads. I'm waiting for them to get a little bit bigger. It's actually two trees merged into one. So they are slightly different apples over here. The dog is charging around, having a great time. You have to be careful of wasps with the windfalls on the ground. The wasps eat them, and then the wasps get a bit weird. It's almost like they're drunk eating all the apples. It's still very early. It's still only the beginning of August. We usually do our apple picking sort of mid-September. So we'll see how it goes. But I have masses and masses of apples this year. Another nice crop this year is the damsons. I'm doing really well for damsons. My old damson tree blew down in the storm. And last year I didn't have any damsons at all, but I didn't have apples either. But this year, a smaller one has sort of blossomed into masses of damsons. I have another one over here. I have another one over here that's like fallen over, that sort of appeared from nowhere almost, and that has got lovely damsons on it too. And in fact, I have a few around the garden. They're still quite hard. They're not ready yet. Hopefully these should be ready with the apples, and I can make damson and apple jam. I can also make liqueurs myself, vodka or brandy damson liqueur. So I've done that in the past as well, if I've had extra fruit. And again, that makes great Christmas presents and great drinks, you know, that type of thing. But yeah, so definitely going to be doing some damson and apple jam this year. My neighbour keeps collecting these for me. He knows that I like little pine cones. I use them for Christmas decorations, and also we use them for kindling with our wood burner. So I will be going out myself and gathering loads. I'm sort of on summer mode, but we will be clicking in once we've had our little holiday. We have got a little summer holiday. I think we're going to be into gathering wood, and I'll be into gathering pine cones for kindling. And they smell lovely on the wood burner as well. But if you dry them out, they seem to help start the fire really well without firelighters and stuff. But I will be using some of these. I make my own wreaths at Christmas, but I will be stockpiling the windfall pine cones. Just gather them up from under the trees. Even broken ones and stuff will be great for kindling. So that is another thing I'll be gathering and storing this autumn as well. Another hedgerow crop that has just bloomed this year is the hazelnuts, or cobnuts as some people call them. There are loads this year. Haven't seen so many in a very long time. Some of the leaves are starting to change colour as well, probably because it's been so dry. But we do seem to get autumn a lot earlier up here these days. So when the beast in the east hit, we had quite a good crop of these types of nuts in the hedgerow. And what I noticed was the squirrels stripped them bare very, very quickly. I went out sort of in the morning with the dog and there was hazelnuts everywhere. When I did the evening walk, they were gone. And the squirrels had been very, very busy, and they had stripped them and stored them. The squirrels usually get to these and eat them. I'm surprised they haven't eaten them yet, because they tend to eat them when they're unripe. But whether it's just there was so many this year, they don't have to rush and get them, I don't know. But it's going to be very interesting to see if they strip the bushes bare this year and store them quickly, ready for the winter. So that might be another sign that we've got a bit of bad weather coming in. So we're all being prepared. We will see what the squirrels are doing this year, and we'll all be squirreling things away for the winter. There's loads of them this year. So yeah, so we're going to be squirreling things away for the winter this year.